My wife demanded, "Sell your startup." My brother needs $1 to start his business. I replied, "Let me call my lawyer." Then I called my lawyer and had her legally restructure the company into a trust. My wife couldn't touch her face when I handed her brother a $100 bill. I, 38 male 38, founder of a small software company that started in my garage 6 years ago. And my wife, Melanie, 36, has always been supportive. Or so I thought. Melanie works part-time as a Pilates instructor, earning just enough to cover her own expenses. But her brother Tyler, 33, has a track record that paints a very different picture. He's never held a stable job longer than 8 months, yet always claims to have the next big idea that somehow requires someone else's money to fund it. I've poured years into building my company, working 80-hour weeks, surviving on instant noodles, barely sleeping, barely eating, but growing something real. Something that now employs 12 people and has been profitable for the past 3 years. The company's latest valuation put it at around $4.2 million. Not a tech unicorn, but solid, respectable, and mine. And Melanie wants me to put it all on the line for Tyler's latest so-called opportunity. I kept eating, letting her words sink in slowly. "What kind of opportunity?" I asked, more out of politeness than curiosity. She leaned forward, eyes glinting with urgency. "He's starting a consulting firm, marketing, branding, networking. He has potential clients lined up, and he just needs capital to get started." I laughed before I could stop myself. "Tyler, marketing consultant. The guy who posts questionable crypto tips online and thinks Instagram likes equal market research." The audacity almost made me choke. "Melanie, that's not happening," I said. Her face tightened, jaw stiff, her voice trembling with a mix of disbelief and anger. "It's family, Ethan. You're doing well. You can afford this. He deserves a chance." I shook my head. "Mel, my company's assets aren't liquid. And even if they were, $1 million for Tyler's business is throwing money into a bonfire. There's no consideration here. I won't do it." She stood abruptly, the chair scraping against the hardwood floor. "Then you need to sell the company or take out a loan against it. Tyler deserves this chance." I kept my voice steady, though my pulse was racing. "Completely serious, right?" I asked. "Yes, family helps family. You're being selfish." I set my fork down, stared at her, and calmly said, "Let me call my lawyer." Her eyes narrowed, a mix of fury and incredulity. "Why would you need a lawyer?" she demanded. "Because you just asked me to liquidate my life's work for your unemployed brother. I want to know what my options are." I reached for my phone, dialed Veronica, my attorney, and put it on speaker. "Veronica, if my wife is demanding I sell my business to fund her brother's venture, what protections do I have?" Her response was precise, unwavering. "The prenup protects the business, but let's discuss asset protection strategies." I hung up, looked back at Melanie, and saw a flicker of panic cross her face. She was shaking with rage, struggling to hide the humiliation. I had just, very calmly, made it clear I wasn't going to let her destroy 6 years of work for Tyler. She stormed out, slamming the bedroom door behind her. I finished my dinner alone, thinking about the options Veronica had mentioned. This wasn't just about money. It was about survival, control, and the very real possibility that family loyalty could become a weapon against me. The next morning, I met with Veronica at her office. She had laid everything out clearly on her desk. "Ethan, your prenup protects the business. But there's a loophole if marital assets were commingled or if Melanie can argue she contributed to the business. growth emotionally or otherwise during the marriage. We need to close that loophole before this escalates. I nodded, absorbing every word. The solution: restructure the company into an irrevocable trust, with me as the trustee and beneficiary. Legally, Melanie would have no claim. Retroactive, predating the marriage. $8,500 in legal fees, but worth every penny. Over the next 3 days, the trust was finalized. The Reynolds Business Trust officially owned the company, and I controlled everything. Melanie's eyes widened when I handed her brother a crisp $100 bill, the only concession I allowed. The look on her face was priceless, a mix of disbelief and fury. She had just tried to weaponize family loyalty to extract $1 million, and I had countered with legal precision. For 2 days, she didn't speak to me. Then, Thursday night, she came home with reinforcements: Tyler, her mother Linda, 61, and her father Robert, 64. They were all standing in my living room when I walked in from work, like a scene from a hostage negotiation. "What's this?" I asked, masking irritation with calm. Linda spoke first. "We need to talk about Tyler's opportunity." I didn't flinch. "No, we don't," I replied. Robert cleared his throat. "Son, we're family." Melanie chimed in, her voice pleading, "You're being difficult about helping Tyler get started." Tyler stepped forward, trying to project confidence. "I've done the research. Dad, Mom, market demand is there. I just need capital." I raised an eyebrow. "And you plan to take my money because banks won't lend to someone without collateral?" He shifted uncomfortably. "I'll pay you back." My laugh was involuntary and sharp. "Tyler, you still owe me $3,000 from 2 years ago for car repairs. You're going to pay back $1 million. His face reddened, and for the first time I saw a crack in his bravado. Melanie's voice grew colder, sharper. "So you're letting your brother fail?" I shook my head. "I'm not gambling with my company or my employees' livelihoods. Tyler is not failing. He's just not succeeding with my money." Robert tried a man-to-man approach. "Think about Melanie, Ethan. Family's future." I met his eyes, steady. "I understand family, but this is betrayal, not concern. Melanie demanded I sell my company. She tried to sabotage client relationships. That's not family loyalty. That's economic abuse." They all froze, stunned into silence. Tyler muttered something, but I cut him off. "Meeting's over. Everyone leave." They eventually did, Melanie included, storming out with a glare that could have shattered glass. The next morning, Melanie tried a different tactica, calm compromise. Sitting at breakfast, she suggested $500,000, half of her original demand. I didn't flinch. "No," I said. "No at $1 million. No at $500,000. No at any amount over a few thousand for a legitimate business plan with actual numbers. If Tyler has a real plan, show it to a bank." She threw her coffee mug, shattering ceramic against the wall behind me. "You're destroying this family." I leaned back, calm. "I'm protecting my life's work. Not the same thing." She grabbed her bag and left, staying at her parents' house, according to location sharing. Then came the sabotage. Calls to clients, trying to paint me as unstable, endangering contracts. My stomach sank when Leo, my business partner, told me Melanie had contacted Mrs. Carter, our biggest client, claiming the company was unstable. I immediately called Veronica. "Legal steps. Document everything. Send cease and desist if necessary." I drafted a professional, composed email to all clients, affirming the company's stability, distancing personal family drama from business operations. Leo approved smart, professional, airtight. Meanwhile, Melanie's harassment persisted, and the line between family loyalty and outright sabotage became painfully clear. Tyler even showed up unannounced at the office. Trespassing. Police were called. A restraining order followed. I also uncovered the character assassination campaign. Linda called my parents, painting me as financially controlling and abusive. Thankfully, my mum, a retired family court judge, intervened calmly and effectively, clarifying the truth. The onslaught slowed, but the emotional toll lingered. Melanie's actions were deliberate, calculated, and escalating. Each encounter calls, office intrusion, broken breakfast rituals was a reminder that she was prioritizing entitlement over our marriage. I realized then, protecting my company meant preparing for war, not compromise. My priority was clear: safeguard my life's work, protect my employees, and maintain the integrity of the trust I had established. 2 weeks later, Melanie filed for divorce. I received the papers 6 days ago, detailing demands that made my jaw drop. 50% of the business value, $2.1 million, plus the house. Spousal support of $8,000 per month for 10 years, and all legal fees covered by me. I laughed, partly in disbelief, partly out of relief. The prenup and trust were bulletproof. Veronica reviewed the filings calmly, almost amused. "Ethan, there's no way they can touch the business. Your exposure is minimal spousal support, maybe $2,500 a month for a few years max." The harassment campaign continued. Tyler called the business line relentlessly, leaving tirades about family loyalty and how I had ruined his dreams. My receptionist, Jenny, 26, documented every call. When Tyler finally showed up at the office, refusing to leave, police were called again. The restraining order was enforced 500 feet minimum from me and the company. Meanwhile, Linda's phone campaign to family members was silenced after my mom explained the financial abuse and sabotage to her. Frank, Melanie's father, tried one last time for a man-to-man talk, but I was unwavering. I get family concerns, Robert. I get the desire to help Tyler, but betrayal is not family loyalty. Melanie demanded I destroy my company for him. That is not something I can overlook. Court day arrived. Melanie appeared with a young lawyer, nervous and unprepared. Veronica had files organized, tabs, notes, everything. The judge reviewed the prenup, the trust documents, the company history. Melanie's lawyer argued that the business increased in value during the marriage due to her emotional support. The judge asked financial or physical contributions. Melanie admitted she had only provided emotional support. The judge's ruling was clear. The prenup and trust held. Business, house, investment accounts, mine. Melanie received her car and furniture she purchased during the marriage, plus temporary spousal support of $2,100 per month for 42 months. Each party paid their own legal fees. Total cost to me, $13,200. Total savings from protecting the business, $4.2 million. Melanie confronted me briefly afterward. "I hope you're satisfied," she said, eyes cold. I nodded. "I'm relieved it's over. I protected what I built." Tyler sent a text the next day. "You won." Happy now. Ignored. Another text. "Nat's devastated. Hope your company was worth it." Also ignored. I drove to a bank, withdrew $100, wrote a note for Tyler's consulting business, and mailed it. It was symbolic. He could use it for printing business cards if he wanted, nothing more. Hours later, he left a voicemail, screaming incoherently. I saved it, another piece of evidence if necessary. 3 months later, the final hearing concluded. The divorce was granted, the prenup upheld entirely. Melanie got her car, some furniture, and the modest spousal support. Tyler's opportunity had collapsed. He was back living with his parents, working at a call center, earning $18 an hour. Melanie now works full-time as a Pilates instructor and in retail, making ends meet. My company thrived. Revenue up 18% over the last quarter. Bonuses for employees were generous. The $100 bill I sent Tyler, torn and returned, was taped together and framed in my officer. Daily reminder, sometimes the best investment is the one you don't make. Reflecting on it, I have no regrets about protecting the business. The marriage ended, yes, but I safeguarded what I built for 6 years, supporting 12 families and their livelihoods. Melanie wanted to trade my something for Tyler's nothing, and I refused. Every challenge, every threat, every courtroom drama confirmed one thing: boundaries matter, and sometimes saying no even when it hurts personally is the smartest decision you can make. Tyler might still chase his dreams, but he'll do it without my $1 million, and I'm running my company, sleeping peacefully, and finally free from the weight of entitlement disguised as family loyalty.